Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of tea, because today we have very interesting stories, and one of them is a story about OP in a wheelchair who was on a bus, and about an entitled mother who almost got herself to a police station. Subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. A bit of backstory. I'm fairly young, 13, and have been saving up for years to get a gaming PC, and my parents insisted I build it, and so I did. I'm not particularly talkative, and don't really look for trouble all too much. I don't know if that's important. So my American relatives come over to stay for a few weeks, and one morning we're having breakfast and discussing why I use two computers, and I tell them that one is a laptop for school work and Photoshop, and my PC is for gaming, video editing and anything intensive. I paid no mind to this conversation and after breakfast, because I hate socializing and talking to people, boot up my PC and hop onto Destiny 2, bit of a bad move when relatives are over and stuff to be honest. This is where my older cousin brother, EK is 11, is watching me creepily over my shoulder and is mesmerized by my fancy keyboard and mouse lighting and says to me, "Dude, how much did that keyboard cost?" And I answer £150, to which he cringes and says back, "Well, if the keyboard and mouse cost so much, the computer must be super cheap." No, not really, the PC itself was around £1,200. So you lied when you said it cost £1,600. Well no, because I included the peripherals. At this point he looks kinda confused and walks off and I continue playing. A nightfall or two later, around half an hour, EK comes back with EM, entitled Ant is EM, and says to me, "My name, did you really lie to EK about your PC's price?" "Not really, I just added the price of the keyboard, mouse and monitor. So if it's not as expensive as you said it was, could we get one?" "Where did you get it from?" "Sure. If you're willing to build it, there are a load of online tutorials and stuff on how to do it." Build. She was super angry because I told her that her EK would actually need to work to get a decent PC. Why would my EK who is 11 build a computer? "Could we just have yours please?" I started laughing because it was a bit ridiculous that she wanted this PC that I'd saved up for years for and built myself. "I'm not kidding, you already have a laptop, so why do you need this?" "For video editing, gaming, etc. You even bloated the price, has nothing to do with the situation, and you don't need those mind-melting video games, you selfish boy." Good point. Still doesn't warrant her taking my PC. "And my son does so much more work than you. He deserves it." At this point, having been here a bit, detect she's transforming into a stage 2 Karen and prepare for her to try and yank out a cable or something, and I shut down the PC and hide the cables behind my desk and call for my dad. Bit of an abrupt ending, but EM and EK just glanced at me and for the rest of the week gave me death stares every so often. Good for you, OP, you coped with that crazy situation very well. That woman won't even think that this PC is important for OP. OP built this PC by himself and for himself. He put a soul in it, it's unique now, and it's hard to sell it, even after years of using it, let alone just give it to a random entitled woman. Some quick background. I had a tumor on my spine a few years ago. Luckily it was removed and I'm pretty healthy overall now, but not so luckily I can't walk anymore. Into meeting the entitled mom. Last week, I had a doctor's appointment as a follow-up to some issues I'd been having. Normally my mom would take me to the doctor, but she was pretty busy, so I figured I'd take the bus. Luckily my city overall has a very accessible bus system. They also have specific buses meant to assist people with disabilities, but my route from the house to the doctor's office aligned pretty much perfectly with one of the normal bus routes, so I figured I'd just use it. All the normal buses are equipped with wheelchair ramps and a place to secure it. When there isn't a wheelchair user on the bus, there are seats over the area that's used to secure a wheelchair. I can't be anywhere else as it's a safety hazard to have a large metal chair wheeling around haphazardly. So the driver lowers the ramp and I board the bus. Due to COVID, the bus was pretty empty. During this whole thing I was wearing a mask and I also got tested last week, so don't worry about my contact with the driver. There were a few people in the back and a woman with her child, who's probably about 6. Seated at the front over the wheelchair securement area. Which is fine, the area has a notice saying people with disabilities have priority seating, but the general public can use it if nobody else needs to. Normally it would be a simple "Hey, could you please move? I need to secure my wheelchair but not this time." The conversation isn't exact because my memory isn't perfect, but here's my best recreation of the encounter. I stayed quiet for most of it. Luckily the bus driver was absolutely amazing and stood up for me. Bus driver. Hey, could you move? TM and daughter. EM. No, my daughter and I are sitting here. Bus driver. You need to move to another seat so I can secure the passengers. Me, wheelchair. EM. They can sit somewhere else. Bus driver. No, that's the only area with proper securement. EM. They can just take the next bus. Bus driver. No, they have a right to use the bus. You need to move. EM. No, my daughter and I are staying. You can't make me. Bus driver. Yes, I can. You can either move seats now or you can leave. Me. If it's really a bother I can take the next bus. I'm very non-confrontational. I would have been late to the doctor's appointment, but I don't like bothering people. Bus driver, to me, no, you can take this one. EM, see. The cripple even says she doesn't need it. Bus driver, TM, you can either move seats or wait here until police arrive. EM, you can't make my daughter and I move. This is harassment. At this point, the bus driver began to call someone. I'm unsure if it was actual police or what, but the EM ended up moving 2 seats over, thankfully. And I got secured in the seat. She spent the rest of the time glaring at me, but honestly I don't mind. There are some complete idiots like the EM, but there are also great people like the bus driver. When I was getting off he apologized for EM's actions, even though obviously they weren't his fault. In the end, I got to the doctor's appointment on time, so all was well. I just hope the woman's daughter learns not to be an idiot somehow. I agree with OP and hope that this woman's daughter will grow up to be a good person, learning from her mother's mistakes. I feel really sad when I see what a terrible example parents set for their children. It's just luck that this woman didn't get reported to the police. I worked at an amusement park at the time. We got snooty parents, kids, etc. all the time. Figured I'd start sharing some stories. This is technically a repost, but it got taken down, so I'm putting it here, hoping it'll stay up this time. 3rd time's a charm, am right. So, here I am, kind of dreading coming into work at this point because I know I have about 3 days left of working as a ride operator. From there, I would go to work at the National Archives or the Smithsonian. I think I had decided on the National Archives at this point, but I honestly don't remember. This becomes relevant later. So, I'm working at my favorite ride in the park. It's called the Music Express. If you know the ride, that spins in a circle, goes up and down a little, goes backward sometimes, it's that. They're everywhere. Ours, in this case, has a seatbelt and a latch bar. I'm working there with someone, which is unusual, as we were understaffed in that section due to a promotional event we were doing. We load up everyone, and when I got back down to the entrance after double checking my partner's work and mine, we really care about safety. You were fired for not being up to standard on safety. I get someone who we'll call Karen. She's asks me to come over to her and asks me to look at her daughter's arms. The daughter is about 5 or so. The exchange goes as follows: me for me, K for Karen, KT or Karen's daughter. Me. What am I supposed to be looking at? The daughter has some various bruises and cuts, nothing out of the usual for an active kid. K. What do you mean what are you supposed to be looking at? Look at her arm. Me. I'm sorry ma'am, I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be looking at here. K. You cut my daughter. Me honestly confused. Do you mind showing me where? K. Ugh KD, show him where he cut you. KD points to the inside of her elbow. I now realize exactly where this is going. This is going to be an entitled mother trying to get something because her baby is hurt. It continues. Me. Figuring out which cut it is on the kid's arm. Are you okay? Is there anything I can get you? K. Is she okay? She's been screaming at you for the past 5 minutes and other people have been trying to get your attention. I want you to get her ice at the very least. Me. Knowing this is all wrong. I don't have ice here, but I can direct you to first aid. K. Cutting me off. No, we're on the ride, we want to ride it and she needs ice now. Me. As I said, I can direct you to first aid. K. Fine, we'll do it your way, we'll go to first aid, but we're not riding. She said this like it was some sort of threat. Saying I'm not riding as a threat isn't new to me anymore, I'm used to it. But I do also want to add a quick addendum that once we check all of the seats we can't leave the ride area due to safety concerns I won't get into. New addition, FCW is friendly coworker. Me. That's fine. I can't go with you to first aid though. K. What? Why? Me. It's a safety concern because. K. I'm a 9-year season pass holder and I know you can come with me. Me. Having finally gotten them out of their cars like I said before, I can't. K. Haven't you heard the customer is always right? You're coming with me. Me. I can't. However, if you follow certain path you can reach first aid. K. Gets to entrance and sees guest service flag. Why can't you have excellent guest service like the person who got that? You're terrible at your job. I'm a 9-year season pass holder and work for the state. I'm going to have you fired. Me. Actually, I earned that flag I also have pointing to something on my shirt. This because I'm one of the best operators in the park. K. No, you're not. Get me some ice from that booth and we'll be on our way. Me. I'm sorry, as I've said before there's no ice in the booth. K. FCW, get KD some ice from the booth. FCW. I can't, we don't have ice in the booth. K. Stomping towards the booth. I'm getting you both fired. I'm a 9-year season pass holder and work for the state. Me. At this point, feed up with these antics she put on for the past 15 minutes, so you outrank me because you work for the state and I work for Amusement Park. K. Yes. Me. In about 2 weeks, I'll be working for the national government in DC, which means, per your own standards, I outrank you. K. Fuming with anger, get me a pen and a sheet of paper. I'm writing down both of your names and having you fired. Me. Grabs a sheet of paper and pull the pen off of my visor that I always have with me. My name is, name. K. Pushes down on the pen so hard that the top of the ballpoint pen pops off and the ink with it. Mighty convenient, isn't that? Get me another pen. She whips the pen at me, which I dodge. FCW. Hands her another pen. My name is a friendly coworker. K. How do I know your name is, name? Keep in mind, by this point, she had checked my ID on 2 separate occasions before this, and I have a name tag that clearly displays my name on my chest. At this point, my memory gets fuzzy as I was completely caught off guard from Karen harassing me for a solid 20 minutes. She eventually leaves and I try my best to go back to being my usually cheery operator self, you know, the one that has multiple awards from the park and one from a training company. As well as having been videotaped for random screening of the park to then be later used as a model for how to be a good operator, when my supervisor comes over and tells me I need to see the head of ride operations, HRO. Karen had apparently accused me of assaulting her and her daughter, being an overall rude and arrogant jerk, making suggestive comments, as well as being rude to other guests. As well as FCW head of ride operations asks for my side of the story. I say that I was working at the Music Express with FCW when she stops me. HRO. Wait, you don't mean other ride? Me. What? Is that what she said? HRO. Just asking. Me. Well, neither me or FCW are trained at other ride, and only one person can be operating it at a time. HRO. Well, she did say that ride. Me. Laughing at the stupidity of it in relief. No, as I said, that would not be possible. That's basically how the convo went, and FCW confirmed everything I said. We were both sent home for the day, with pay, to make sure she wouldn't try to start anything more. The next day I came in to find out that multiple people on the ride and in line at the Music Express had reported her for berating me and just wanted to make sure I wouldn't be fired. Because of the statements of those people, combined with mine and FCW's oral and written accounts of what happened, she had her season pass revoked and was banned from the park for the rest of the year. A satisfying ending, if you ask me. She doesn't realize just how badly you could have burned her, does she? State rules are basically if anyone accuses you of using your position to get any kind of advantage, unless you can provide an ironclad alibi that it is a fabrication, confirm you were X miles away from where the supposed abusive position took place, that's an immediate investigation and a mark on the record. Girlfriend told me this story and thought it would go perfectly here. I've talked about it in posts, but she's a C4 or 5 quadriplegic due to a diving accident last year and can't move anything below her shoulders. She goes to a weekly physical therapy appointment at a clinic to try to stimulate recovery, which is where this goes down. She and her parents get there a little early and they're inside talking to the doctor while she's using the voice control software on her phone to check messages. The door to the clinic slams and out walks EM and her son, a teenager wearing a Letterman jacket with his arm in a sling, apparently after he had a PT session. Past. GF. Star of this sordid tale. EM. Entitled Mother. IK. Injured kid. Actually seemed super chill. So EM comes in hauling a big bag of something for her son, along with her purse. They plunk everything down only feet away from where GF has parked her chair. She says the room was near empty, and EM begins loudly fiddling around with a large bag. She drops her purse several times, then turns around to where GF is minding her own business. EM? Here. Hold this for me a minute. Without waiting for a response, she just drops the purse into GF's lap and turns away before she can react. She can't move her arms to sweep the bag away, and she says she was in shock at the moment. GF. Excuse me. You can't just put your bag in my lap. EM. Oh, I'll just be a minute. GF. It doesn't matter. Just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can just drop objects on me. You wouldn't do it to a random person sitting in a chair, would you? EM. Look, don't get politically correct with me. My son is disabled too. IK. Mom, I'm not disabled. I just dislocated my shoulder. Give me the bag, I'll hold it. EM. No. You're injured. It's fine where it is. She's not doing anything. GF. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Look, take your bag or I'll get my parents over here. EM. Fine. I'm done. Was that so hard? Smirks as she picks up her bag. I bet it felt good to be useful, didn't it? They walk out as Ik briefly turns back and mouths sorry as they leave. GF wants it known that she has never been so frustrated with her paralysis as when it kept her from slapping EM right in her smug face. The kid seems like a good person who tried to stop her entitled mom even with an injured shoulder. It's a shame to see how people don't care at all about other people. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here, the story about 8-year-old OP and her terrible mother who has hidden her personality and secretly hurt her little daughter. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.